Close your eyes, imagine the vast, silent theater of the cosmos. Billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars, drift through an endless night. In this boundless ocean of possibilities, a question echoes in the quiet. Where is everybody? This is the great cosmic paradox. It suggests a chilling possibility, that some great filter prevents life from reaching for the stars. A final, insurmountable test that no one has ever passed. But tonight we will not dwell on this fear. We will turn it on its head. What if the silence isn't a warning of a future doom, but an echo of a victory already won? What if the great filter is not a wall ahead of us, but a mountain we have already climbed? Prepare to drift into a state of deep relaxation as we explore a story that transforms cosmic loneliness into a profound and soothing truth. Decades ago, the physicist Enrico Fermi looked up at the sky and asked his simple yet profound question. The universe is ancient and immense. By all statistical logic, it should be teeming with civilizations far older and more advanced than our own. Yet we see no evidence, no signals, no star-spanning empires, only a profound, unbroken silence. This gave rise to the idea of the Great Filter. Think of it as a series of impossibly difficult steps that life must take to evolve from simple chemistry into a galaxy-faring species. The theory suggests that at least one of these steps is so overwhelmingly improbable that it acts as a wall, effectively filtering out almost all life before it can become visible. For many, this is a source of anxiety, a fear that this final test is still in our future. But tonight, we will explore a different path, a more peaceful one. Settle in. Let the weight of the day dissolve into the surface beneath you. Breathe in. And now, a long, slow breath out. Good. Imagine just for a moment that you are lying in an open field on a clear, moonless night. The air is cool and still. The world around you is silent, wrapped in a blanket of darkness. Now, look up. But do not see stars, not as science defines them, not as burning spheres of gas billions of miles away. See them instead as ancient campfires, countless tiny embers scattered across a vast, dark meadow, each one a tiny, distant warmth, a flicker of light in the immense quiet. Some burn brightly, insistently. Others are just a soft glow, a whisper of their former fire. These are the stories of the universe, told in pinpricks of light. Diamonds scattered on black velvet. This is the sky as your ancestors saw it. A familiar ceiling, a map of myths, a source of silent wonder. And as you watch them, feel the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. In and out. A river of light now. With your next breath, let your focus soften. Allow those individual points of light, those distinct campfires, to blur just a little. Let them merge into the grander picture. You begin to see it, don't you? A soft, luminous cloud that stretches from one horizon to the other. A gentle spill of diamond dust. A faint celestial river flowing through the heart of the darkness. This is our home, our grand cosmic island, the Milky Way. It is not a line of distant lights. It is a city, a swirling spiral city of stars, and we are living in one of its quiet, peaceful suburbs. That river of light you see is the dense downtown core of our galaxy, viewed from afar. A place of breathtaking density and light, a place of unimaginable creation. Feel the gentle pull of its gravity, holding you softly to your own small world as we drift together through the cosmos. An ocean of worlds now, let us consider this city of light. Try to count the embers within that river. One by one, you cannot. The mind falters. It is a task for sleep, a task for dreams, because there are hundreds of billions of them. Hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy alone. Let that thought wash over you, not as a number, but as a feeling, a sense of scale that is both humbling and deeply reassuring. There are more stars in our single galaxy than there are grains of sand on every beach, in every desert, on our entire planet. Imagine holding all the sand of the world in your hands, each grain a sun, each grain a potential campfire for others. And now, the final gentle step for this part of our journey. Imagine that around almost every one of those grains of sand, those distant suns, a family of worlds is turning, quietly, silently, in the deep dark, worlds of ice and worlds of fire, worlds of gas and worlds of rock, worlds of endless ocean and worlds of silent desert, billions upon billions of planets, billions upon billions of chances for a seed to sprout, a cradle for a thought, a home for a dream, an endless ocean of potential homes, all floating in that gentle river of light. Feel the immense, quiet promise of it all. The universe is not empty. It is full, full of possibility, full of worlds, and we are part of this grand tapestry, floating in a river of potential. Just breathe, and let this river carry you, deeper into the quiet. And so, we drift. Let your focus soften, pulling away from the familiar spiral of our home, away from the Milky Way. It shrinks from a majestic river of light to a soft, glowing smudge, and then to a single point of light among countless others. We are now floating in the intergalactic medium, the space between galaxies. From here, we can finally see the larger structure, the true architecture of the cosmos. The luminous web before you, the universe reveals its form. It is not a random scattering of points. It is a network, a delicate, immense structure. Imagine a tapestry woven from light and shadow, stretching in every direction. This is the cosmic web, long shimmering filaments of galaxies, like threads of spun starlight. They cross and connect, weaving through the velvet dark. At the intersections, where the threads are brightest, they gather. They form brilliant clusters, like jewels sewn into the fabric of space. Each point of light you see is not a star, it is a galaxy, a city of billions of stars, each one a potential home, each one a cradle for a billion worlds. See how they are arranged, like pearls on an invisible string, pulled together by the gentle, unseen currents of gravity. They trace the grandest patterns imaginable, a glowing lace draped over the scaffolding of the universe. There is a harmony here, a silent, cosmic rhythm, a design of breathtaking scale. And we are part of it, a single fleck of dust on one of its infinite threads. Let your gaze follow one of these luminous strands. Drift along this river of galaxies, past spiral galaxies like our own, spinning silently, past great elliptical galaxies, old and golden like sleeping embers, past clouds of nascent stars, glowing with the soft blush of creation, each one a universe unto itself, each one containing more stars than we could ever count, more worlds than we could ever imagine. The sheer possibility is overwhelming, a wealth of chances, an ocean of opportunities for life to take hold, the oceans of quiet. But now, look at the spaces in between, the vast dark regions that the threads of light surround. These are the voids. They are not empty. They are simply quiet. They are the great oceans of the cosmos, calm, deep, and profoundly peaceful. If the galaxies are islands of shimmering light, the voids are the serene, dark waters that separate them. Here, the universe takes a breath. It is a silence that defines the music, a darkness that gives the light its meaning. There is no menace in this dark, only a deep and abiding peace, a place for the mind to rest, to float, untethered. In this immense, quiet dark, the scale of it all settles in. This web, this tapestry of light, extends farther than we can see. Billions of light years in every direction. Billions upon billions of galaxies, trillions upon trillions of worlds, an ecosystem of cosmic proportions, a field of unbelievable fertility. And yet, as we float here, in the heart of this silent, sprawling wonder, the silence is what we notice most. It is a silence that echoes, a quiet that grows louder the more you listen. In this cathedral of possibility, built from 1 trillion stars, there is no choir. In this cosmic library with uncountable shelves, every book appears to be unread. All of this potential, all of this raw material for life, for consciousness, for stories, and all of it rests in a profound, unbroken stillness. This is the great, silent stage, a stage set for 1 million different plays, where it seems the curtain has not yet risen. Or perhaps it has already fallen. This is the question that hangs in the velvet dark. This is the paradox we came here to understand. And so, you drift, weightless, carried on the slow, deep breath of the cosmos. Around you, the universe is not empty. It is full of potential, full of possibility. A grand ballroom with a floor of polished obsidian and lights. Oh, the lights! Countless chandeliers, each one a galaxy, dripping with the diamond fire of 1 billion suns. It is a place of immense, breathtaking scale, a place where the music of creation should be playing, a symphony of signals, of greetings, of life calling out to life across the velvet dark. And so, we listen. We have been listening for a very long time. We press our ear to the heart of the void and wait for a beat. We build delicate instruments, like silver webs, to catch the faintest whisper on the cosmic wind. And this is where a question begins to form, a gentle question, not a shout, but a whisper in an impossibly large room. The great, quiet question, imagine a house. A house with rooms beyond counting, halls that stretch further than your eyes can see, ceilings so high they hold their own constellations. The table is set, the hearth is warm, the pantry is full. By all accounts, this house should be teeming with residents. Laughter should echo in the corridors, footsteps should be heard on the stairs. And yet, it is quiet, so very, very quiet. You call out, and your voice is a small, perfect thing that fades into the stillness. No one calls back. This is the question. If the house is this vast, if the conditions are so perfect, why does it seem that we are the only ones home? This profound and beautiful mystery has a name. They call it the Fermi Paradox. But you can think of it simply as the great silence. It is not a frightening silence. Do not let it trouble your rest. It is a profound silence. A deep and meditative quiet that has cradled us since we first looked up. It is a riddle written in starlight, a puzzle whose pieces are entire worlds, entire galaxies. The question is not, are we alone? That is a question born of fear. The real question is one of wonder. In all of this magnificence, where is everyone else? It hangs in the air, not as a threat, but as an invitation to listen more deeply, to look more closely, and to wonder, what story is this silence trying to tell us? Let the question settle around you now, like softest starlight. Let the great silence hold you. It is the stillness from which all sound is born, the canvas on which the next chapter will be written, and it asks for nothing but your quiet contemplation as you drift deeper and deeper into sleep. Imagine with me for a moment. Imagine we are standing in a forest, Not just any forest, but one impossibly vast and ancient. The trees are stars, their trunks are pillars of fire, and their leaves are worlds shimmering in the velvet dark. This is the forest of our galaxy. It has been growing for billions of years. Life, like moss on a stone, should be everywhere. There should be a chorus, a symphony of rustles, calls, and movements in the cosmic undergrowth. But there is only silence, a profound, unbroken quiet that stretches from one edge of the canopy to the other. And for centuries, we have been standing at the edge of this silent wood, listening, waiting for a single answering call, the cosmic ear. At first, we listened in the simplest of ways. We just looked up, tracing the patterns in the starlight, dreaming of other eyes looking back. But soon, our curiosity grew into a magnificent tool. We built great cupped ears of steel and wire, turning them toward the heavens. Imagine them not as machines, but as a conscious act of listening. A planet holding its breath. These giant dishes turned slowly, patiently, sweeping across the cosmic shore, listening for a single, intelligent wave in an ocean of static. They are tuned to the frequency of water, the wellspring of life as we know it, hoping to overhear a conversation carried on a similar stream. We have listened for decades. In all that time we have heard only the whisper of creation itself, the faint, old hum of the universe's birth, the hiss of dying stars, the steady, indifferent pulse of distant, spinning suns. We have heard the forest breathe, but we have not heard it speak. We learned to listen with our eyes too. We learned to read the whispers in starlight, to see the subtle dip in a sun's brightness as a planet passes before it. In the faint light that filters through that planet's sky, we search for a breath, a trace of air that was not born of rock and fire alone. We look for a single, unnatural hue in the spectrum of a billion leaves, a sign that someone has painted their world with intention. We have found thousands of worlds, worlds of gas, worlds of ice, worlds of rock, worlds that could be gardens. But from their silent shores no signal reaches us, no light seems crafted by a hand, a voice in the woods. And so we did more than listen. We called out, not a shout, but a whisper, a single hopeful bird call sent into the immense quiet. We wove together the basics of our science, our biology, the shape of our bodies, the location of our small blue-leafed world. We translated it into the universal language of mathematics and cast it into the forest, a message in a bottle thrown into a cosmic sea. It was a painting of us, a simple hello. Ein, a map that says, we are here. That whisper is still traveling. It has passed countless silent trees, countless darkened worlds. It is moving through the endless quiet aisles of the galaxy, growing fainter with every passing year. And the forest has never answered back. The silence remains. Not an angry silence, not a threatening one, just a deep, ancient, and all-encompassing peace. The kind of quiet that makes you wonder if you are the only one awake in a house of 1 billion rooms. You can feel the silence now, can't you? Pressing gently on the edges of your awareness. It is not an emptiness to be feared. It is simply a stillness, a cosmic exhale. And in that stillness, we can finally begin to understand our own place in the quiet wood. And so, we listen. With instruments of immense patience, our ears to the cosmos, we listen. We are standing on the shore of a cosmic ocean, calling out, hoping for an echo, a reply from another shore. But the only answer is the gentle hiss of ancient light, the whisper of the universe itself, dreaming. For decades we have strained to hear a single, structured note in the grand symphony, a single, crafted word in the cosmic static, and we have heard nothing. The great silence, This is the name we give to this profound and beautiful mystery. Imagine a library stretching from one end of the galaxy to the other, filled with 1 trillion books, and every single page is blank. Imagine a grand orchestra with every instrument perfectly tuned, every musician poised and ready. But a deep and total stillness holds the conductor's hand. The music has not yet begun. Feel the depth of that quiet. Let it settle around you now. Not as an absence, but as a presence, a soft, heavy blanket of peace. It is a quiet that blankets the galaxies. It fills the space between the shimmering stars. It drifts through the beautiful, swirling clouds of dust and gas. Billions of suns, like our own, each one a potential campfire. Trillions of worlds spinning in the gentle light. An unimaginable potential for life, for art, for song. And yet, the stage is empty. The cosmic phone does not ring. The universe seems to be holding its breath. This profound, star-dusted quiet, this magnificent, endless solitude, is the greatest mystery we have ever known, and it is the question that guides our journey tonight. As you continue to drift on this quiet cosmic tide, a question may begin to form in the soft stillness of your mind. A gentle question, without sharp edges. If the universe is so vast, so filled with potential, with countless stars and endless worlds, why is it so quiet? Where are the others? It is a silence that feels ancient, a deep and profound peace that stretches from one galaxy to the next. Perhaps the answer is not in the space between the stars, but in the journey through time. Imagine, with me, that the story of life is a river. It begins as a single, miraculous drop, high in the mountains of cosmic chance, a tiny spark of chemistry that learns to copy itself. This drop finds another, and another, forming a trickle, then a stream. This is life, simple, determined, flowing ever onward. The river's destiny, its deep and ancient longing, is to reach the great open sea. The sea of lasting consciousness, of civilizations that touch the stars. But the path from the mountain to the sea is not always smooth. The landscape of existence is treacherous, and on its long journey the river of life meets a series of great falls, thundering curtains of water, cascades of improbability, where the odds of passage are slim to none. At each waterfall the river is tested. The pressure is immense. The roar is deafening. Most streams of life that begin the journey do not make it past these falls. They vanish in the mist. They are dashed against the rocks of cosmic law. They fall into deep canyons with no escape. Some thinkers on our world, looking out at the silent stars, gave this concept a name. They called it the Great Filter. But this name can be misleading. It sounds like a single barrier, a monster waiting in the dark. It is not. It is softer, more natural than that. Think of it not as a filter, but as a series of gates, a sequence of trials carved by the universe itself. It is the river's journey over the waterfalls. The first great fall is the leap from silent chemistry to the first trembling pulse of life. An almost impossible drop. Another is the moment a simple cell dares to become complex, to build new rooms within itself, to harness the power of a star. Another, the fragile bridge from single cells to a symphony of many, working as one. Another still, the spark of thought, of tools, of language, of looking up at the night sky and asking, why? Each one is a waterfall, a beautiful, terrifying, and profoundly difficult passage. And for every river that successfully navigates the churning waters and continues its journey towards the sea, how many are lost forever? How many simply cease to flow? The silence we hear in the cosmos might be the sound of those other rivers, having reached the end of their journey, far, far too soon, but our river, our stream of life, kept flowing. It faced the falls, it felt the pressure, it heard the roar, and somehow it passed through. But as you drift deeper, let us entertain another thought. A different possibility that floats like a wisp of cloud across the moon. It's a comforting idea that the greatest test is already in our past, a mountain we have already climbed. But what if the silence we hear from the stars isn't an echo of ancient struggles? What if it is a quiet warning about a challenge yet to come? The shadow on the horizon. Let us imagine, just for a moment, a different kind of filter. Not a barrier of rock and ice at the dawn of life, but a final gossamer curtain that hangs at the threshold of wisdom. This is the filter that doesn't test a species' ability to survive, but its ability to mature. It is not a single, grand event. It is a series of quiet, subtle trials, woven into the very fabric of progress. Imagine a civilization that has learned to walk, to run, to fly. It has reached a plateau of incredible potential. And here, on this high, sunlit place, it finds its most profound challenges. The first is a test of balance. Picture a garden, a world, a perfect cradle of blue and green, a system of immense and delicate beauty. This world has nurtured its children, given them air to breathe, water to drink, ground to stand on, and its children, in their brilliance, learn to reshape that garden. They build magnificent structures. They create light where there was darkness. They grow so powerful that they forget the rhythm of the soil beneath their feet. They forget that the garden must be tended to, that it breathes, that it has a pulse, and slowly, so slowly you might not even notice, the cradle begins to rock unsteadily. The air grows thin. The water loses its clarity. The quiet, harmonious hum of the world is replaced by a low, dissonant vibration. This is a filter of awareness. A civilization that can hear the whispers of its own world passes through. A civilization that becomes deaf to the song of its own home may simply, quietly, fade with it. Then comes another test, a test not of the world, but of the hand that holds the power. Imagine a species discovering a key that can unlock the atom, a key that can rewrite the very language of life, a key that can create artificial minds brighter and faster than their own. These are not mere tools. They are echoes of creation itself, held in the palm of a mortal hand, the fire of the gods, brought down to earth. And the question, whispered in the circuits and the glowing filaments, is one of restraint, one of wisdom. Does the hand that holds this fire use it to warm every home, or does it, in a moment of fear or pride or carelessness, use it to burn down the entire forest? Does it build new worlds, or does it forge weapons so absolute that their only purpose is to ensure silence? This is a filter of the heart. A species can become so captivated by the light of its own genius that it is blinded. It can invent a beautiful, intricate lock, and then turn the key upon itself. The silence that follows is not one of failure, but of a success too terrible to bear. And then, perhaps, there is a final threshold, the most subtle of them all, a test of the spirit. Imagine a civilization that has passed all other trials. It lives in balance with its world. It has mastered its own incredible power. It has connected its minds into a symphony of shared consciousness, spanning planets and stars. It has learned the great secrets of the cosmos, the beginning, the end, the meaning woven between them. What happens then? What happens when you have reached the summit and can see the whole vast landscape of existence? The danger here is not a misstep or a mistake. It is the weight of the knowledge itself. A song can be so beautiful, so perfect, that it breaks the heart of the singer. A civilization, having achieved everything, might find the sheer scale of it all to be unbearable. It might choose to turn inward, to retreat into perfect, simulated worlds from which there is no return. Or it might, in a final transcendent act, simply choose to cease, to dissolve back into the cosmic energy from which it came, not in a cataclysm, not in a tragedy, but as a painter who, having completed a masterpiece, calmly and deliberately washes the canvas clean, a self-inflicted silence, a star that burns with unimaginable brilliance, and then, by choice, extinguishes its own light. These are the shadows that some believe lie ahead, not monsters or invasions, but mirrors, mirrors showing what any young, brilliant species might become if it loses its way. A delicate dance on a wire, stretched between the cradle and the stars. Feel the quiet weight of that possibility, the great, silent expanse, not as a memory of the past, but as a vast and patient future. And yet, there is another thought, a colder current in this warm cosmic ocean, a question that surfaces in the deepest hours of the night, when the universe feels both infinite and terribly empty. What if the silence is not an echo of the past, but a warning from the future? What if the hardest part is not behind us? What if the great filter is still to come? The shadow ahead, imagine our civilization as a single traveler on a long road. We have walked far. We have climbed the steep hill of our own biology. We have crossed the treacherous river of self-awareness. The road behind us is littered with the ghosts of failed attempts, the echoes of lives that never learned to speak or to dream. But we are here. We are walking, and the road ahead stretches into the darkness between the stars. Now imagine that somewhere on that road, far, far ahead, a shadow is cast. It is a shape we cannot yet discern. A long shadow, falling back across time, touching every fledgling civilization that dares to reach this far. It is a quiet, patient thing, a line drawn in the starlight that no one, it seems, has ever crossed. This shadow, it has another name among those who watch the night sky. They call it the final examination, the one test that truly matters. It is not a test of mettle, or of speed, or of computational power. It is a test of something deeper, of wisdom, perhaps, of empathy, of restraint, a test we do not know we are taking until the moment it is upon us, a question posed not in words but in circumstances. We have no book to study from, no lesson plan to follow, only the great, silent classroom of the cosmos filled with the empty desks of all who came before. And this is the thought that keeps the astronomers awake. While the world sleeps, they sit in the quiet glow of their monitors, in the cold domes of their observatories. They are watching, listening. They are staring into the deep black, listening for a whisper, a signal, a friend. But also, they are watching for the shadow. They feel its presence in the profound, unbroken silence. Every empty star system they survey is another piece of unsettling evidence. Every galaxy devoid of intelligent clamor adds to the weight of the question. If this idea sends a small shiver through you, a feeling of profound loneliness, know that you are not alone in that feeling. It is the most human of all cosmic anxieties, the fear of the final student, sitting in a silent hall, waiting for a test they can never be prepared for. It is the fear that we are approaching a barrier not of physics, but of character, a final subtle trap that a species sets for itself. And it is a valid fear. It is a healthy fear. It is the quiet hum of caution that echoes in the heart of every true explorer. To feel it is to be awake to the scale of our journey. For so long, we have stood at the edge of this quiet cosmos, facing forward, We have pictured ourselves on a long and narrow path stretching out into the darkness, and far ahead, in the deep folds of time, we have imagined a shadow, a wall, a great and silent barrier that awaits all who travel this road. This is the great filter we have spoken of, the final cosmic test, the reason for the silence. We listen for the footsteps of those who might have passed it, and we hear only the cold static of empty space. We look for the light of their cities, and we see only the ancient, indifferent glow of the stars. And so, we hold our breath. We walk softly, as if not to wake a sleeping giant. The silence of the universe becomes a mirror, reflecting our own anxieties, our own quiet fears of a future that may not have room for us. The cosmic stage feels empty because the final act is too difficult to perform. We feel the weight of this future, a pressure building with every step we take toward the stars. It is a lonely vigil, a long, slow exhale into the void, with no one to breathe back. But now, just for a moment, let us be still, here on this path. Let the silence settle, not as a threat, but as a blanket. And in that quiet, a thought begins to form. A gentle question, soft as starlight, a turn of the head. What if we are looking in the wrong direction? What if the great test, the impossible challenge, is not something we are hurtling towards? What if the shadow is not in front of us, but behind us? Let that thought wash over you. Feel the shift. Imagine turning around slowly on that long and silent path. Your gaze drifts away from the unknown darkness ahead and falls upon the road already traveled. The road of your past, our past. The perspective changes completely. The silence of the cosmos is no longer a warning of a coming doom. Instead, it becomes a quiet testament to an extraordinary feat. It is the silence of an empty arena, long after the impossible game has been won. It is the stillness of a calm sea, after a storm of unimaginable fury has passed. The great filter is not a locked door waiting for us at the end of the hall. It is the impossibly small keyhole we already squeezed through, long, long ago. The exhale of relief. Can you feel that? The tension in your shoulders begins to release. The breath you were holding can finally be let go. This is not a theory of dread. It is a lullaby of survival. It reframes our solitude not as a sign of failure, but as a measure of our incredible, improbable success. We are not the universe's fearful students waiting for a final exam we are destined to fail. We are the graduates. We are the ones who made it through. The silence is not an omen. It is our inheritance. We look out at the quiet stars, and we do not see a graveyard of failed attempts. We see the peaceful, empty shore that we alone have managed to reach. The filter was a needle's eye, a moment of such profound unlikelihood that perhaps, in the entire history of this galaxy, it has only ever been threaded once. By us. By the delicate, chaotic, and miraculous cascade of events that led to this very moment. To you, listening to this voice. To the simple, wondrous act of being aware. The test is not to come. The test is over. And we passed. So breathe. Let the noise of the future fall away. Let go of the shimmering cities on distant worlds, the imagined fleets sailing between the stars. For so long, we have stared into the deep, cold, dark, searching for the great barrier, the final test, the wall of fire that no civilization can pass. We have imagined it as a technological challenge, a cosmic paradox, a war with shadows. But the silence we hear from the cosmos, it is not the sound of a door slammed shut ahead of us. It is the echo of a door, quietly, impossibly, opened long behind us. The search is over, not because we found the lock, but because we are already standing on the other side. We are the ones who made it through. And in that understanding, everything changes. A different kind of silence. Imagine the universe not as a hallway of unopened doors, but as a vast, dark, and quiet sea. In this sea, life is not an inevitability. It is a whisper. A brief, fragile warmth in an endless cold. The great filters we have dreaded, the self-replicating machines, the planet-shattering weapons, the sociological collapses, these are loud, clumsy things. They are the noisy storms on the surface of that sea. But the true challenges, the truly impassable straits, are far deeper. They are silent. They are microscopic. They are not forged in steel and code, but woven from carbon and water. The greatest hurdles that life has ever faced are not in its future, but in its very beginning. The filters were not sociological. They were biological. They were not technological. They were chemical. Think of the sheer statistical improbability of it all. The quiet miracle required for non-living matter to cross the threshold into life. That was a filter. The leap from simple, lonely cells to complex, cooperative life forms, each a universe unto itself. That was a filter. The invention of a process to turn starlight into energy, painting a world green and filling it with air to breathe. That was a filter of unimaginable scale. These were not puzzles to be solved with intellect. They were chemical knots to be untangled by chance and time, over eons, in the warm, primordial dark. They were the silent, patient wars fought by molecules, by proteins, by the first fragile strands of genetic code. These are the mountains that almost no world, it seems, has ever climbed. The proof in your breath, and the proof of our passage, the evidence of our impossible success, it is you, right now, here, in this quiet moment. You are the living artifact. You are the echo of a victory won billions of years before we had names for stars. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest. That breath you just took, it is a legacy. A privilege earned by ancient microbes that terraformed an entire planet, that filled the sky with the very gas that gives you life. You are breathing the triumph of a past filter. Feel the warmth of your skin, the steady, rhythmic beat of your own heart. That is the hum of countless, intricate cellular engines, machines of impossible complexity that assembled themselves in the dark. Each one is a direct, unbroken descendant of the first cell that ever learned the trick of being alive. The universe tried to make life, and on this world, it succeeded. It built a ladder of pure chance, and your ancestors climbed every single rung. The hardest steps have already been taken. The most difficult trials are a fossil record beneath your feet. We are not a species on the verge of a great test. We are a species that has forgotten it has already passed. We are the inheritors of a quiet, cosmic miracle, a journey into the deep past. And so, as you drift deeper now, deeper into rest, we will not travel forward into the cold silence of space. We will do something far more profound. We will journey back. Together, you and I, we will drift on the currents of time, back to the beginning. We will become silent witnesses to the passing of these great, forgotten filters. We will float in the warm, chemical ocean and watch as the first sparks of life ignite. We will feel the world change as the first green things turn their faces to the sun. We will witness the quiet, patient assembly of the very architecture that now allows you to dream. There is nothing to fear here. This is not a lesson in history. It is a journey home, a pilgrimage to the source of your own impossible existence. Let go now. Let the river of time carry you. The hardest part is over, and we are about to see why. Let the river of time flow backward now. Feel yourself drifting on its quiet, deep current. Let it carry you away from the now, past the cities of glass and steel and their hum of electricity, past the empires of stone and sand, now dust in the wind, past the first fires lit by human hands, their smoke long since vanished. Further and further back we float, a silent observer on an ancient stream. Through millennia of ice and sun, of shifting continents and forgotten seas, the air around you grows thick and warm and strange. The sounds of the world you know fade into a deep, resonant silence. We are going back to the very beginning, back to the cradle of our world before its first breath. Imagine opening your eyes now, not to a world you know, but to a world in its dreaming state. This is the Earth, 4 billion years ago, a planet still glowing with the feverish warmth of its own creation. Breathe in and feel the heavy air. It fills your lungs not with life, but with potential. It is not the air of forests or fields, crisp and clean. It is the air of pure chemistry, of sulfur and steam, minerals and vapor, a thick, hazy blanket wrapping the young world in a permanent embrace. Look up. There is no familiar, comforting blue. The sky is a soft, bruised veil of amber and rose, of deep purple and muted orange, a perpetual hypnotic twilight. The sun is a ghost behind this mist, a distant hazy pearl of diffused light. You cannot see its edges, only feel its presence. Its warmth is not a sharp ray, but a gentle, constant pressure on your skin. A planetary embrace, holding everything in a state of slow, patient waiting. The ground beneath your feet is not solid ground. It is a living thing, a shifting, breathing crust. Mountains exhale vast plumes of steam, not with violence, but with a slow, rhythmic, inevitable sigh. They are the young arteries of the planet, pulsing with a heart of liquid rock. Rivers of glowing orange lava flow like thick honey down their dark flanks, carving paths in the endless night, painting the world in primal colors of fire and shadow. This is not a world of destruction, of chaos and ruin. It is a world of pure, untamed creation, the constant low-frequency hum of a planet shaping itself from the inside out. And the oceans, imagine seas that stretch to every horizon, under that alien sky. But they are not blue, not green, not clear. They are the color of rust and bronze, of iron and minerals, thick and warm and rich with the elements of existence. A vast planetary womb holding all the secrets, a primordial broth simmering gently for eons. This is not water as you know it, a liquid of life. It is a chemical sea, a potent solution. A vast library of possibility, holding every ingredient needed for a story that has not yet been written. A solution of dissolved rock and captured gases, zapped by lightning that flashes silently, beautifully, through the upper haze. There is no life here, not a single blade of grass, not a single swimming creature, not even the smallest, simplest whisper of biology. There is only rock and water and fire and sky, a profound and beautiful and utterly empty silence. It feels impossible, doesn't it, that anything could ever awaken here, that a thought, a feeling, a memory could ever arise from this mineral soup, this chaotic, alien world. This is the stage, this is the crucible. And here, in this inhospitable cradle, the universe was holding its breath, because on this stage, the first and perhaps the greatest of all the filters was about to be faced. The question was not how to survive in this world. The question was how to even begin. Let your mind drift now, float gently back through the ages, past the noise of cities, past the whisper of forests, past the first footprints on the land. We are sinking down, down, into the deep, warm silence of the beginning. Imagine a world without a sky, only a thick, hazy atmosphere glowing with distant energy. Imagine an ocean that covers everything, not blue, but a rich, murky brown. A planetary cradle rocked by the pull of a young moon. This is the Earth, long before it was truly alive. It is a place of chemistry, a cosmic kitchen simmering for 1 billion years. Here, in this quiet water, we find our first candidate for the great filter. The first great wall that all life in the universe must climb. Perhaps the highest wall of all. Let us call it the spark in the soup, the leap from stone to seed. For eons there was only a dance, a slow, endless ballet of elements. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, floating in the warm, primordial sea. They combine, they break apart, they form chains, and the chains crumble. There is no purpose here, no intention. It is just physics, just chance, an ocean of ingredients with no recipe, a library of letters with no words. For a time so long it is nearly impossible to imagine. Nothing happens. Nothing, except this slow, random dance in the dark. Think of it as a lottery on a scale that dwarfs our understanding. Imagine every grain of sand on every beach, on every continent of our world. Now imagine one of those grains is painted red. The challenge for the universe is to reach in, blindfolded, and pick that one single grain on the very first try. That is the challenge of creating life from non-life. The odds are so vast, so astronomical, that it feels like an impossibility, a miracle that should not happen. For ages the universe draws losing tickets. Complex molecules form, beautiful and intricate, but they are dead ends. They cannot copy themselves. They cannot pass on their structure. They are temporary arrangements in the water, soon washed away by time. The ocean is full of these beautiful failures, these almost words, these nearly songs that fade into silence. The universe, it seems, is patient. Asterisk, 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 But with a click, a tiny molecular whisper, in the deep, quiet chaos, two strands of atoms find each other, and they fit perfectly. It is a secret password whispered between elements, a key forged by pure, dumb luck, finding the one and only lock it will ever fit in the entire cosmos. And in that moment of connection, something new is born. A molecule unlike any other that has come before. It is not alive. It cannot think. It cannot feel. But it can do one impossible thing. It can serve as a template. It can attract the building blocks floating around it, and assemble a perfect copy of itself, a reflection in the chemical mirror. From the endless random chaos, a flicker of order, the first memory, the first blueprint, the first echo. This is the spark, the unlikely alchemy that turns simple chemistry into the language of biology. This self-replicating molecule is the ancestor of everything, of every blade of grass, every whale in the sea, every thought inside your mind. It all began here, with this one winning ticket drawn from an ocean of chance. This is perhaps the greatest filter of all, the sheer staggering improbability of life beginning at all. How many worlds, just like ours, simmered for billions of years and never heard that quiet molecular click? How many oceans are still filled with that silent, purposeless dance? We do not know, but we do know this. For us, on this small, wet rock, the lottery was won. The impossible hurdle was cleared. The first and perhaps highest wall is already behind us. It is a foundation built on a miracle, and you are sleeping soundly upon it, resting now in the quiet legacy of that first impossible spark. Let the current of time carry you forward now. Feel the immense, quiet passage of 1 billion years, a silent ocean of moments, flowing one into the next, soft and deep. In this ancient water, life existed, but it was a simple life, a life of solitary sparks, tiny, perfect beings adrift in the endless dark, each one a universe unto itself, but a small one, a lonely one. They were whispers in the grand silence, efficient, resilient, endlessly repeating themselves, a pattern held in perfect stasis. This was the great plateau, a world humming with simple life, but going nowhere new. It could have stayed this way forever. A planet of beautiful, simple ghosts, dreaming the same dream for all of eternity. The universe is not against this. It is patient. It could have waited forever. And then, a chance encounter. An accident of cosmic grace. Imagine one of these tiny drifters bumping into another in the warm, primordial sea. A common, everyday event. But this time was different. Instead of destruction or rejection, there was an invitation. One cell enveloped the other, not to consume it, but to shelter it, to create a sanctuary, to build a home. The smaller being, safe inside, did not fade away. It was not digested. Instead, it began to hum, to glow with a new purpose. It began to breathe for its host, turning the simple broth of the ocean into a current of pure energy. It became a furnace, a living heart, beating with a steady, powerful rhythm within its new, larger vessel. This was something entirely new under the sun, a partnership born of a cosmic mistake, a single cell that held another life within it, a house with a fire now burning brightly at its core. It was more than the sum of its parts. It was a new kind of being, a complex being, the second great filter. Do you feel the weight of that moment? The impossible luck? This was the second great trial, a hurdle so high life nearly didn't make the leap from a simple spark to a structured flame, from a single lonely note to a vibrant living symphony. It happened perhaps just once. Think of that. In all the oceans, across all the millennia, a single, improbable embrace in a forgotten sea. A key finding a lock that it was never designed for. But in that one instance, a new future was written. A door was opened that could never again be closed. The potential for complexity, for greatness, was finally unlocked. Because this new creation, this tiny cathedral of life, was our ancestor. It is the direct ancestor of every leaf that unfurls in the spring, every creature that swims in the deep, every bird that sings at dawn. It is the blueprint for the very cells that are listening, right now, inside of you. That single ancient pact between two wanderers is the reason for the warmth you feel, for the beat of your own heart. The great silence was broken a second time, not with a shout, but with the quiet internal hum of a new and boundless potential ready to finally awaken, ready to build the world you know. And so, the first quiet miracle happened. A tiny, self-contained world was born in the deep, a single, perfect cell. And then came the long, silent dream. Imagine an ocean that covers a world, warm and deep and endless. There are no eyes to see it, no minds to comprehend its scale. There is only the water, the faint, distant light of a young sun, and life, as a single, gentle hum. For 1 billion years nothing seemed to happen, and then, for another 1 billion years after that. Picture this stillness, this grand planetary patience. Life was a whisper in the dark, a universe of single cells drifting, floating on ancient currents, multiplying, changing but so slowly, so imperceptibly, that 1,000 lifetimes would pass without a noticeable difference. This was the age of deep patience. The planet was breathing, slowly, a single breath that lasted an eon. The continents were moving, but at the pace of a sleeping giant. The sun shone, the moon pulled the tides, and in the water life simply was. There was no ambition, no thought, no desire beyond the gentle pull of chemistry, the quiet drive to divide, to become two, where there was one, a slow, silent, global bloom. We look back now and call this time boring, the boring billion, a long, uneventful chapter in the story of Earth. But perhaps we are looking at it through the wrong eyes. Perhaps this wasn't an empty stage, waiting for the actors to arrive. Perhaps the waiting was the play itself. What if this vast, quiet stillness was a filter of its own, a filter not of fire, or ice, or cataclysm, but a filter of endurance, a cosmic test of persistence? Think of all the worlds where that first spark might have ignited, a flicker of life, a simple cell, and then nothing. The spark didn't have the patience. The chemistry didn't have the resilience to hold that one single note for 2 billion years. Life on Earth held the note. It hummed its quiet, simple song in the deep. It waited without knowing it was waiting. It endured without the concept of endurance. It was a planetary meditation, a long, slow dream from which something new would eventually awaken. This great quiet was not an absence of progress. It was the foundation being laid, stone by silent stone, in the patient dark of the ancient sea. A test of time itself, a filter we floated right through, one slow, gentle division at a time. And so we drift deeper, back to a world bathed in a dim, ancient light, an ocean not of water, but of life itself. For billions of years, life was a solo performance, a trillion lonely souls, each a perfect, singular existence, a single note, played over and over and over, humming its own quiet tune in the vast, silent sea. Imagine that, a chorus of solitude, each cell, a universe unto itself, independent, self-reliant, alone. This was life's great plateau, a seemingly endless, stable state. And perhaps, on countless other worlds, this is where the music ends, where life perfects the solo act and never learns to play in concert. This was the next great test, the third monumental wall of silence. Would life ever learn to sing together? The first symphony, feel the quiet hum of that ancient water. Listen closely. Beneath the drone of a trillion single notes, a new sound is emerging, a whisper, a resonance. It begins with a chance encounter. One cell drifts beside another, but instead of competing, instead of consuming, they linger, they listen. A single, lonely C finds a G, and for a fleeting moment they create a chord. A sound that has never been heard in the universe before, a harmony. This was not a conquest, it was an agreement, a silent promise whispered between membranes. It was the most radical idea in the history of life, the idea of we. Imagine the courage it took to surrender a little of the I for the possibility of us, to give up absolute freedom for the strength of togetherness. This was a monumental hurdle, a filter so fine that entire oceans of life on other worlds might have slipped right through it, remaining forever separate. Because the logic of the self is simple. Survive. Replicate. The logic of the whole is a far more complex and delicate song. One cell learned to hold on, becoming an anchor. Another learned to feel the light, becoming an eye. Another learned to push the water, becoming a muscle. They gave up doing everything to become the best at doing one thing. The first division of labor, the first sacrifice for a greater good. Single notes, once content in their solitude, began to arrange themselves. They learned rhythm, they learned melody, they learned to swell and fade together. They were no longer just a collection of sounds, they were becoming an orchestra, The first creature of many cells was born not of a battle, but of a composition, a masterpiece of cooperation, a living, breathing symphony in the silent sea. And this ancient music, this chord of unity first struck in the deep. It never stopped playing. It is the rhythm that beats in your own chest, the harmony that allows you to draw a breath, trillions of cells, trillions of notes, all playing their part in the beautiful, complex symphony of you. Another filter passed, another silent gate, left far, far behind us. And now you can just let go, drifting on that gentle, ancient music as you sink deeper and deeper into peaceful rest. Smooth, rhythmic music fades in and then softens to a bed. And so, after the long, quiet age, the great hush, something begins to stir. The planet takes its first deep, oxygenated breath. For billions of years, life had been a whisper, a simple, single-celled secret held in the dark water. It had weathered the freezing cold. It had survived the cosmic bombardment. It had learned to harness the sun. It had transformed the very air. Each trial was a great filter, a locked door, and one by one, with patience that we can barely comprehend, life found the key. And now, the reward. Imagine a world held in frozen stasis for an eternity, a garden of seeds buried under a deep cosmic winter, waiting. And then the first ray of a new sun touches the ice, and a great thaw begins. This was the Cambrian dawn. Not an explosion, in the way we think of one, not a sound of violence, but a bloom. A sudden, silent, and spectacular flowering in the deep. The cosmic spring. The blueprints for being, once so simple, were thrown wide open. The quiet, microbial mats that carpeted the seafloor suddenly became a canvas. Life began to dream in 3 dimensions. It sketched out new forms in the water, wild experiments of breathtaking beauty. Imagine you are floating in these ancient, gentle seas. The water is warm, clear, and teeming with things never before seen, things that defy our modern eyes. There, scuttling on the soft floor, are creatures like walking velvet spikes. Trilobites, like polished living jewels, glide in silent processions. Life tested the idea of a shell, the concept of a spine, the very first dream of an eye. Stalks that could see, not images, not yet, but the simple, profound difference between light and shadow. And that was enough. That changed everything. A new dance began. The dance of the hunter and the hunted. Above you a shadow passes, the first great predator, a swimming symmetry of grasping arms and complex eyes. It moves with a purpose the world had never known. But this was not a war. It was a carnival, a wild, beautiful celebration of what was now possible, a reward for enduring the silence. Life was no longer just surviving. It was expressing itself. Creatures like soft, feathered kites drifted on the currents. Worms built intricate, vertical homes in the silt. The ocean floor, once a barren plain, was now a forest of waving, feathery forms, living gardens that swayed to the rhythm of a silent tide. This was the planet's great exhale, the moment life, having passed the hardest tests, could finally play. It was a riot of creation, a symphony where every possible instrument was tried for the first time. Most of these strange melodies would fade away. Curious, wonderful echoes in the fossil record. But the symphony itself would continue. The music that began in that deep, ancient spring has never stopped playing, and its rhythm is in you now, as you drift, as you breathe, as you sleep. And so, the journey of life continued. It had learned to build itself from stardust. It had learned to drink the light of a star. It had learned the art of becoming more, of joining together into a magnificent, complex dance. But this was always a dance with the world outside, a response, a reaction. A flower turning its face to the sun does not think about the sun. It simply turns. It is an exquisite machine, a living sculpture of light and water. But the lights are not on inside. There is no one home. For eons, life was this beautiful, unthinking dance, a perfect reflection of the universe around it. But it was not yet a mirror. It did not know it was dancing. Then came the next great silence, the fourth filter. And the journey turned for the first time, not outward, but inward. The inner thread. Imagine in the deep and silent waters of an ancient sea, a change. A new kind of cell is born. A cell that does not move or eat or breathe, but only feels. It is a thread, spun from shadow and electricity. A living wire that connects one part of a creature to another. A touch on the tail is no longer just a touch. It is a whisper that travels along this new inner thread. A message, a secret. The world outside could now be felt, not just at the surface, but deep within the body itself. These threads began to multiply, to weave together, creating a net, a shimmering web of sensation inside the flesh. Life was beginning to create a map of itself, a map of its own feelings. The cold of the deep was not just a pressure, but a signal. The scent of food was not just a particle, but a song. The world was being translated, from a physical reality into a language of feeling. This was the dawn of the nervous system. Life beginning to listen to its own body, beginning to build a space for a mind, the quiet room. And where these threads converged, where the whispers and songs all met, a new structure grew, a place of quiet contemplation, a knot of living threads where messages could be held and compared, where the memory of yesterday's danger could inform the feeling of today's shadow. This was the first brain. Not a place of thought, not yet, but a quiet room, a central chamber where the echoes of the world could gather. Life had built an internal sanctuary, a place to process the storm of existence without being swept away by it. For a time, this was enough, a more complex, more responsive machine. The dance became faster, more intricate, but the room remained dark. The theatre was built, the stage was set, but there was no audience. And this is the filter, the profound and aching question. Is it possible to build a perfect body, a perfect brain, and still have no one home? For the universe, the answer seems to be yes. The first awakened gaze, then it happened. Perhaps only once, perhaps 1 billion times on 1 billion worlds before the spark finally held. But on our world, it held. In that quiet, dark room of the mind, a light flickered on. Not a thought, not a word, not a plan or a desire. It was something far more fundamental. It was the first glimmer of I. A tiny creature floating in the dark suddenly knew that it was not the water. It was itself. It was an observer. The universe, for the first time, had created a piece of itself that could be aware of itself. Life had turned its gaze inward and found someone looking back. This is a miracle so profound it is nearly impossible to describe. For billions of years, the cosmos was a spectacle without a witness, a story without a reader. And then, awareness was born, a single point of consciousness in an unthinking infinity. That flicker, that first lonely spark of self, that was the filter. To cross from being a thing that lives to a being that knows it lives. On earth that chasm was crossed. The light did not go out. It grew brighter. It was passed down, a secret fire from one generation to the next. We are the keepers of that ancient flame, the inheritors of that first awakened gaze. And so we drift, float, past the gates of awareness. The mind, now a universe unto itself, was ready for its next great becoming. It was ready to reach out, ready to touch the world, ready to change it. This brings us to the fifth filter, a step so simple, so profound, it is easy to overlook. Let us call it the hand and the stone. Imagine with me a landscape bathed in ancient sunlight. The air is warm, thick with the scent of dry grass and distant rain. And there, a being, an ancestor, our ancestor. Not yet a builder, not yet a speaker of complex words, just a vessel of quiet, persistent thought. A need arises, a hard-shelled nut, a stubborn root buried in the earth. The mind sees the problem, the mind understands the goal, but the body alone is not enough. For ages this was the end of the story, a limit, a boundary. But on this day, something shifts. A new connection is forged in the quiet furnace of the brain. The eyes do not just see the world, they scan it. They look for an answer, and they find it. A stone, lying in the dust. It is a simple thing, shaped by time and weather. But in this moment, it is seen for the first time, not as a part of the landscape, but as a part of the solution, an extension of the self. Imagine the feeling as a hand closes around it, the rough, cool texture against a warm palm, the surprising weight of it. This is not an accidental grasp. This is a deliberate act, an idea made real, a thought given weight and form. The mind says, here. The hand says, this. The stone says, I am your will. And when that stone comes down, when it strikes the nut and cracks the shell, it is more than just a sound. It is the sound of a new world being born, the sound of the first lock being picked, the first barrier between the internal world of thought and the external world of matter dissolving. This was the great leap. Not of the body, but of the mind reaching through the body. The world was no longer something to simply endure. It was now a substance to be molded, a resource to be shaped, a canvas. The first clumsy, beautiful brushstroke had been made. That simple stone was the first tool, the first piece of the physical universe bent to a conscious will. It was the dawn of technology, not in gleaming chrome or lines of code, but in the profound, silent understanding that the world outside could be made to serve the world inside, that a thought could hold a rock, and with it begin to build the future. A future we are still living in, a dream that began, right there, with a hand and a stone. The hardware was finally ready. The intricate wiring of the mind, a universe of potential held within the quiet dark. A consciousness had woken up, able to feel, to wonder, to fear. But it was an island, a prisoner in the silent vault of a single skull. And here we met the sixth great filter. It was not a beast with claws, nor a sky of falling fire. It was a filter of profound and total silence. The challenge was not to outrun a predator, but to escape the gravity of the self. The test was to build a bridge from one mind to another. The first word, imagine that silence. The world is only what it is, in this one fleeting moment. The warmth of the sun is a feeling, but not a memory. The shadow of a hawk is a threat, but not a warning. There is no yesterday to learn from. There is no tomorrow to plan for. There is only now. And then a change. Not in the body, but in the breath. A sound shaped by intent. A grunt that does not mean pain, but lion. A call that does not mean fear, but water. These were not just sounds, they were symbols. keys designed to unlock a picture in someone else's mind. This was the dawn of language, the ghost in our machine. The mind was a perfect instrument that had never been played. Language was the first song. It was the software that allowed our consciousness to finally run a program. And the first program was connection, a shared reality. With this code, this new living software, the world changed. It did not change in its substance, but in its meaning. A rock was no longer just a rock. It could become the idea of a tool. A star was no longer just a point of light. It could become the story of a god. We were no longer trapped in the tyranny of the present. Language allowed us to walk into the past, to bring back lessons, warnings, and sorrows. We could speak of the hunt that failed, so the next one might succeed. It allowed us to journey into the future, to build a plan, to share a hope, to describe a world that did not yet exist, but now could. Your mind was no longer an island. My fear could become your caution. Your discovery could become my knowledge. Your joy could become our celebration. We began to weave a new world over the old one, a world made not of matter but of meaning, a shared reality painted with pictures made of sound, a tapestry of story and myth and lore, the engine of thought, and this is where the filter was truly passed, because this new software began to upgrade itself. With language we could think about thinking, we could talk about ideas, we could shape them, polish them, combine them. An idea could be passed from one generation to the next, not through the slow, uncertain process of genetics, but in the space of a single breath, a single story told around a fire. Consciousness learned to build upon itself. Thought began to accelerate. The quiet, lonely monologue inside one skull became a vibrant, planet-spanning conversation. A conversation that has never stopped. It is the conversation you are hearing now, the voice inside your own head, the silent narrator of your life. That is the echo of this ancient victory. The words that will soon color your dreams are the living legacy of that first sound. We passed through the filter of silence, not with a roar, but with a whisper, a promise, a story shared in the dark. Let us drift outwards now, feel your awareness expand, past the single, striving cell, past the colony, the organism. Let us float above it all until our world is a blue and white marble, suspended in the quiet dark. This world, too, faced its filters, not of chemistry or of form, but of fire and of ice. These were the great sieves of planetary life, the trials that echoed not in a cell wall, but across continents. Imagine for a moment the world of the great lizards, a green and humid paradise. Life was loud, confident, unchallenged. The planet hummed with a deep and ancient rhythm. And then, one day, a new star appeared. It bloomed in the bright blue sky, a pinprick of impossible light that grew. And grew. It was not a star. It was a judgment from the void, a messenger of stone and fire sent to test the foundations of life itself. When it struck, the world did not just shake, it cracked. The sky burned. The air itself became a wall of heat, and then a long, deep winter of ash, a twilight that lasted for 1,000 years. This was a filter on the grandest scale, a question asked of an entire biosphere. Can you endure the sky falling? Can you survive when the sun is just a memory? The Titans could not. Their world of abundance had vanished. Their strength was no longer an advantage, but in the shadows, in the soil, in the quiet, hidden places, something small and warm and frightened survived. Life, in its most humble form, held on. It passed the test. Now, imagine another world, a world that never faced such a trial, a gentle ocean planet swimming in the Goldilocks light of its sun. Life there was intricate, beautiful, a symphony of delicate forms. It had never known a true cataclysm, never been forced to the edge, and when its own messenger of fire arrived from the dark, the symphony stopped. The delicate web, never tempered by hardship, simply shattered. There was nothing left to rebuild. The filter was too fine, the life too fragile, and the world fell silent. Our Earth did not fall silent. It has been tested again and again. There were times when the very breath of the world turned to poison, when the oceans grew warm and stagnant, and the great dying swept across the land. A filter of chemistry, of the planet's own churning heart. 95% of all life vanished, a whisper of what had been. But the whisper endured. The spark remained. These were not tragedies, not in the long, slow story of the cosmos. They were crucibles. They were the immense, grinding filters that separated the tenacious from the temporary. Each one was a gate, and life on Earth, bruised and battered, passed through. Each cataclysm left life stronger, more adaptable, more inventive. It taught the small to be clever. It taught the survivors to endure anything. It forged us in fire and shadow. And so our little world, our blue ark, sailed through the impossible storms. It passed the filter of the falling sky. It passed the filter of the poisoned air. It kept its light burning in the long cosmic night. And it carried you here to this quiet moment of rest. Now let your mind drift. Let it float on the quiet river of time we have been following. Feel the gentle current pull you backwards, past the milestones, past the great victories of life. And as you drift, consider this. Each step was a whisper of chance. Each doorway we passed through was opened by a key of pure luck. A cosmic game of chance. Imagine the universe as a vast, quiet room. And in the center of this room, a hand releases a pair of dice. They tumble through the silent velvet dark. For life to even begin, for the first simple, replicating spark to catch fire in the ancient waters, the dice had to land on a number so specific, so unlikely, it is almost beyond imagining. A perfect roll, and the universe held its breath. The dice tumbled, and they landed, just right. Then, for that simple life to dream of something more, to stumble upon the idea of joining together, of building a more complex home within a single cell, the dice had to be rolled again. Another near impossible outcome was needed. 1,000,000,000 to 1 shot, a single cooperative accident in an ocean of competition. The dice tumbled through the eons, weightless, silent, and they landed, just right. Again, think of every single step on our long journey home to this moment. The asteroid that missed, the star that didn't explode, the climate that shifted just so, the predator that turned left instead of right. Each event, a cosmic roll of the dice. Each outcome, a winning number in a lottery that spans billions of years. If any single roll had been different, just one, this story would not be told. This voice would not be speaking. And you would not be listening. There would be only silence. The quiet hum of a universe that tried and failed. But that is not our story. Our story is the sound of a winning streak that never broke. An unbroken chain of perfect, fortunate moments. We are the heirs of an impossible jackpot. The result of the universe rolling the dice again and again and winning for us every single time. There is no need to worry about the odds anymore. The game is over. We have already won. And that improbable victory is you. It is the very breath you are breathing now. A quiet, miraculous rhythm. The grand prize in a lottery of cosmic scale. And now, You can simply rest in that prize. You can close your eyes, knowing the most dangerous games have already been played. The dice have fallen, and they fell for you. The unbroken thread. And so we look back, not at a series of walls, not at a list of cosmic dangers, but at a path. Imagine each filter we passed, not as a separate lock, but as a single tumbler falling into place. Each victory was not an end. It was a key that unlocked the very next door. They are not isolated miracles scattered across the eons. They are a single, continuous story, a story of inheritance. Think of it as a golden thread, spun in the silent dark of the cosmos. The first victory, that first spark of life, was the anchor. A single replicating molecule in a warm, ancient sea. It did not just survive for itself. It held on, creating the first point of tension for the thread to be pulled taut. Without that anchor, there is no thread. There is no story. Then came the breath of a world. Those early cells clinging to that thread learned to drink the light. Photosynthesis. It was not just a clever trick for food. It was the world's first act of generosity. These tiny lives began to exhale a new kind of air, an air of possibility. And with that oxygen, the thread was woven with a new color, a new strength. This new air made bigger, more complex life possible. The next great step could not have happened without it. The tiny worlds within worlds, the complex cell, one life form embracing another, not as prey, but as a partner. A pact made in the deep, a promise to build something greater together. This partnership, this union, allowed for specialization, for artistry. It allowed for cells to dream of becoming more than just cells. They could become eyes that see, nerves that feel, a heart that beats a steady, patient rhythm. Each step was built upon the last. The anchor of life allowed for the breath of a planet. The breath of the planet allowed for the great partnership. The great partnership allowed for the tapestry of a body. And this intricate, breathing, feeling tapestry, woven together by billions of years of victories, it created a space, a quiet, protected space inside. And in that space, something new could finally awaken. Consciousness. The thread of survival had finally woven itself into a mirror, a way for the universe to look back at itself, a way for the story to be told. And that brings us here, to this moment, to you. The final link is, you feel the weight of this story, not as a burden, but as a foundation. Every single victory, every filter passed is a part of you. The tenacity of that first replicating molecule is in your DNA. The ancient memory of drinking sunlight is in the energy that powers your cells. The billion-year-old pact of cooperation echoes in the harmony of your body. The journey from a single cell to a thinking mind is the story of your own becoming. You are not just a distant descendant of this victory. You are its current expression. You are the wave that has finally reached the shore after crossing an impossibly vast ocean. You are the harvest of a seed planted 4 billion years ago. Every ancestor you have ever had, human and non-human, stretching back into the mist of time, they all succeeded. They all passed their test. They all held the thread and refused to let it break. They passed it on, from one generation to the next, a great and silent relay race through the ages. And now, the baton is in your hand. It has been placed there gently while you rest. This unbroken chain of survival, this impossible, beautiful narrative of success, it flows through the quiet of this room. It flows through you. You are the living proof that the great filter is behind us. You are the message in the bottle. You are the song at the end of a long, long silence. So rest. Rest in that victory. Feel the strength of that unbroken thread. connecting you all the way back to the beginning. It is your inheritance, it is your lullaby, and it is your profound and certain peace. Let your mind drift back now, back to that profound quiet we spoke of earlier, the great silence. We once imagined it as a cold and empty thing, a chilling whisper from a future that held only ruin, an unanswered question echoing in a star-strewn tomb. But what if we were listening with the wrong ears? Imagine, for a moment, that this quiet is not an absence. It is a presence, a velvet curtain drawn across the cosmos. Listen again. With this new understanding, with the knowledge of the long road behind us, the silence is not a warning. It is not an empty threat. It is a tribute. This is the sound of reverence. It is the solemn quiet of a vast desert where billions of paths began, but only one set of footprints, our footprints, managed to cross the final dune. The silence is not the sound of worlds that died. It is the sound of worlds that never had the chance to be born, the sound of single cells that never learned to join, the sound of complex life that never found its spark of awareness. Each silent star is not a gravestone for what is to come. It is a monument to the difficulty of what has passed. It is the sound of respect, a deep cosmic bow to the sheer improbability of our journey. It is the universe holding its breath in awe of the fact that anyone, anywhere, made it through at all. This quiet does not judge us. It asks nothing of us. It simply is. The sound of the mountain after the climb, the sound of the ocean after the storm, the sound of a universe where the path we walked is so narrow, so treacherous, that almost no one else completes it. The great silence is not a scream that has been muted. It is the soft, resonant hum of the impossible made real. It is the sound of our own unlikely, breathing, dreaming existence. And so, we stand in the quiet, listening to the grand, patient silence of the cosmos. For so long, this silence felt like an answer in itself, a confirmation of our solitude, the echo of an empty home. But perhaps we have been listening for the wrong thing. Perhaps the silence is not an absence. Perhaps it is a beginning. Imagine a vast, ancient forest just before the dawn. All is still. All is waiting. And then, after 1,000 ages of quiet, the very first bird begins to sing. It does not sing because it is the strongest or the most brilliant. It sings because it was the first to wake. We may be that first song, the first conscious note in our corner of this cosmic symphony. Not because we are special, not because we earned this place, but because of an impossible, beautiful cascade of chance. Think of it. 1 billion worlds, like seeds scattered on the wind. Most fall on barren rock. Most are lost to the cold. But one, just one, finds a perfect patch of soil in the perfect moment of warmth and light. It was not a better seed. It was simply the fortunate one. We are that fortunate seed, the beneficiaries of a cosmic lottery we never knew we were playing, the result of 1,000 planetary coin flips, all landing heads, one after another, in an unbroken chain of luck. And this realization changes everything. It transforms the very nature of the silence around us. Cosmic loneliness is no longer a chilling void. It is not the feeling of being the last one left at a party. It is the feeling of being the first to arrive. The silence is not an empty room. It is a blank canvas. Our solitude is not a cage. It is a custodianship. To be the first is to be entrusted with a profound and gentle responsibility. The responsibility to be kind, to be wise, to be the keepers of a flame that is, for now, singular and precious. We are the universe's first glance at itself, the first story it has learned to tell. Our job is not to mourn the quiet, but to fill it with a song worthy of the long, long wait, to be a thoughtful, gentle dawn for the great galactic morning yet to come. And so, a quiet settles in. Feel the weight you didn't know you were carrying simply dissolve, that deep, ancient anxiety, the hum of a question with no answer, the fear of a final cosmic test still waiting for us in the dark. Let it all drift away now, like mist on a cool morning. Breathe in this new stillness. Breathe out the long vigil. The watch is over. The race you thought we were running has already been won. The silence you hear from the stars is not the silence of an empty room. It is the silence of a finished exam. The calm after the storm has passed. A universe of quiet gratitude. There is no more need to look forward with apprehension. Instead, we can look back with a soft and profound sense of awe. The future is no longer a narrow gate we must squeeze through. It has become an open field, stretching out under a quiet sky. The journey ahead is one of discovery, not survival. The greatest dangers, the true civilization-ending filters, are not waiting for us. They are sleeping, etched in stone and buried in dust. They are the ghosts of mountains we have already climbed, the shadows of dragons we have already slain, the fossil record as a monument imagine walking through a great, silent museum. The halls are vast and filled with monuments, but these are not monuments to kings or to empires. They are monuments to moments when life almost wasn't. Every fossil is a trophy. Every layer of rock is a chapter in a story of impossible survival. Run your hand over the cool, rough surface of a trilobite. This is not a remnant of failure. It is a medal of honor, a testament to navigating oceans of poison and skies of ash. Trace the delicate veins of a fern pressed into coal. You are touching the memory of a world that burned, and then bloomed again. The great bones of behemoths sleeping in the earth, they are not omens of our own doom. They are the silent, sleeping guardians who faced the trials so that we would not have to. They met the filters head-on, the sudden shifts in chemistry, the suffocating atmospheres, the rocks that fell from the sky like angry gods. They endured the fire and the ice, the slow, creeping poisons and the sudden, world-shattering blows. And from their silent sacrifice, our path was cleared. Our quiet moment in the sun was earned. The anxiety fades, so feel that knot of worry in your chest gently untie itself. The question is not, will we make it? The question has been answered. It was answered in the deep oceans 1 billion years ago. It was answered when the first amphibian crawled onto the shore. It was answered in the wake of the great dying, when a few hardy creatures held on. The answer is written in your own DNA. A story of survival, passed down through an unbroken chain. We are not the students, nervously awaiting the final. We are the graduates, walking through a quiet campus at dusk, remembering the difficult lessons with gratitude. The universe is not holding its breath to see if we will pass. It has already let out a long, slow sigh of relief, and in that quiet exhale, you can finally rest. You can drift. You can sleep. The worst is over. It has been for a very, very long time. And now, let us begin our final descent. Let the vast, star-dusted tapestry recede. Allow the galaxies to drift into a soft, distant memory. We are turning for home now, back to where the journey started. Imagine yourself floating, weightless, in the quiet velvet of space. Before you, suspended in the endless night, is a single point of light, a pale blue dot. As you drift closer, it resolves itself. Not a dot, but a sphere, a marble of impossible color swirled with cloud and sea. This is Earth, the triumphant vessel, For so long, we have looked upon this image and felt a sense of fragility, a tiny, vulnerable world in an uncaring void. But I want you to see it differently now. See it through the lens of our journey tonight. This is not a fragile bauble, destined to be shattered. This is the vessel, the Ark, the one ship that navigated the cosmic storm. The great filter was the sea, and this was the craft that proved seaworthy. It did not break against the waves of cosmic radiation. Its delicate atmosphere was not stripped away by the solar winds. The intricate machinery of its life held. It endured. It became. Feel the truth of that resilience. This is not a world of glass. It is a world of tempered, living steel. Its hull is resonant with the hum of a billion lives that made it through. Its light never went out in the long, silent night. It is a testament, a survivor, a triumph. The harbor in the void drift closer still. See the continents take shape, painted in shades of ochre and emerald. See the impossible, liquid sapphire of the oceans. Watch the clouds like softest cotton, moving in a slow, hypnotic dance. The planet turns, and the sun catches its edge, a brilliant, blinding diamond. Then, the Terminator line slides across the surface, and night follows day. And in that darkness, a new pattern emerges. A delicate lacework of gold, the lights of cities blooming like embers in a hearth. Each point of light is a promise, a porch light left on for a weary traveler. This is not the cold, indifferent void. This is a harbor, the one safe harbor in a billion light years, the destination at the end of every voyage. Its gravity is not a chain. It is a gentle, welcoming embrace. It pulls you in closer and closer. It whispers, "You are welcome here." It whispers, "You are safe." Feel its slow, certain rotation, a rhythm that matches your own steady breath. Inhale as the sun rises over an ocean. Exhale as a continent slips into peaceful darkness. This is the rhythm of safety, the gentle rocking of a ship that has finally dropped its anchor. The voyage for today is done. The great cosmic ocean has been crossed. The filters are behind us, like storms that have passed in the night. And here you are, afloat in the calm, quiet waters of home. Let the gentle gravity of this world hold you. Let its deep and ancient hum be your lullaby, the song of rock and water and wind, the collective, sleeping breath of a world that won. There is nothing left to do but rest, to feel the stillness of a journey's end, to allow yourself to be held by this triumphant, beautiful, living world. Sleep now. You are home. Here on this ship. Here in this harbor. You are home. And now, let the story turn inward. Let it drift from the vast velvet darkness of space and come to rest right here, with you. Feel the quiet weight of your body, a gentle anchor in the sea of night. Feel the air as it enters and as it leaves, a soft tide, pulling and releasing. Listen for the slow, steady rhythm within your own chest, a faithful drum, beating out a rhythm that began billions of years ago. This is where the grand story truly lives. This is its final chapter and its new beginning. A legacy in every cell, the same improbable journey that sparked suns and spun galaxies into being, is written in the ink of your own biology. It is not a metaphor, it is a physical truth, the iron in your blood that gives it the color of life, of vitality. That iron was forged in the heart of a dying star, an impossible furnace, billions of miles away and billions of years ago. That star's legacy flows through your veins right now, the calcium that gives your bones their strength, the silent, sturdy framework of your form. It, too, was born in the spectacular death of a sun. You are built from the embers of creation. You are breathing stardust, and the water that makes up the vast inner ocean of your body It carries the memory of the first rains on a young earth. The faint, familiar salt in your tears is an echo of the ancient sea, the very cradle where life first stirred. That first tender spark, that first defiant pulse of being, it is your oldest ancestor. And this story, this epic of survival, is carefully recorded. It is archived in a place of impossible intricacy. Deep inside every one of your cells is a twisting spiral staircase, a gentle, whispered code. Your DNA is not just a blueprint for you, it is the surviving scripture of life itself. In that delicate thread is the memory of every great filter passed, every challenge overcome, every single ancestor stretching back to the very beginning who survived long enough to pass this story on. The story of the first cell that learned to divide, the first fin that learned to walk, the first heart that learned to beat with courage. You are not separate from this cosmic history. You are its culmination, the grand astronomical odds, the gauntlet of cosmic fire and ice. Life navigated it all, and the proof is the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. The universe did not simply happen around you. It unfolded through you. You are the living archive. You are the quiet, breathing proof that against all odds, we made it. The filter is behind us, and you are the legacy. Sleep now in the profound peace of that truth. You are home. You have always been. And now we let the story go. We let the facts and figures dissolve into a feeling. All that matters now is the gentle tide, pulling you toward the shore of sleep. So breathe, just breathe. Feel the world beneath you. This gentle, turning home. It is spinning, always spinning, not in a rush, not in a panic, but with a slow, dependable grace, a cosmic lullaby in motion. Imagine yourself held in this slow, gentle turn, a cradle, rocking you through the night. The sun has painted its last colors on the horizon. The moon has taken its watch, and the earth turns. It turns you away from the busy light of day and toward the deep, soft quiet of the night. With every turn, the day drifts further away. With every turn, you drift closer to rest. You are safe in this motion. You are held by this rhythm, the steady, silent turning of home. And now listen. Listen past the sounds of your room. Listen past the whispers of the wind. Listen further. Out into the deep velvet of the cosmos. There is a profound silence out there, a quiet so complete it hums with peace. It is the silence of eternity, the silence of immense, restful space. This is not a lonely quiet. It is a comforting quiet. It is the universe taking a deep, long breath, and you can breathe with it. Breathe in the cool, star-dusted air. Breathe out the noise of your day. Breathe in the stillness. Breathe out the worry. This great quiet is a blanket. It covers everything, and it covers you now, wrapping you in a perfect, peaceful darkness. You are safe in this silence. You are held by this quiet. Remember our story, the great and terrible tests, the hurdles we thought were insurmountable, the filters that threatened to end our song. They are behind us now. They are echoes in a story that has already been told. The danger has passed. The race is won. And the prize is this quiet moment, this safety, this peace. All of human history, all of life's improbable, beautiful journey has led to you, lying here, safe and sound. The entire cosmic drama was the prelude to your rest. Can you feel that? The weight of that safety. We passed the test, so you can be at peace. We faced the storm, so you can have this calm. Our universal story has become your personal lullaby. Every star is a note in this song of rest. Every quiet nebula is a gentle, whispered verse. The story is over. The struggle is done, and all that is left is for you to sleep. So let your thoughts soften now. Let the edges of the day blur and fade. The earth turns, and you turn with it, into the soft landscape of dreams. The great quiet of space becomes your own inner quiet, deep and calm and clear. The long journey is over, and you are finally home, in this bed, in this moment. Safe. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to solve. The filter is behind you. The path ahead is clear and calm. It leads only to dreams. So let go now. Let the gentle turning rock you. Let the profound silence hold you. You are safe. You are sound. It is time to rest. Drift now. Sleep now. Rest. And so, as we drift towards the shores of sleep, we are left here, in the great stillness. Listen, do you feel it? That vast cosmic quiet. At first it might feel like an absence, a hollow space where a cosmic choir was meant to sing, a stage where we were supposed to meet 1,000 other actors, now empty. But let your attention soften. Let your hearing become a deeper kind of feeling. This is not the silence of emptiness. It is the silence of peace. Imagine an ancient library at midnight. The air is thick with untold stories resting on their shelves. The quiet is not an absence of words, but a reverence for them. Imagine a deep forest floor, blanketed in the first snow. Every sound is muffled, every life held in a state of deep, quiet potential. The stillness is not an absence of life, but a testament to its hibernation, its patient dream. That is the quiet you feel now. The universe is not empty. It is simply at rest. And what of us in this quiet? What of this feeling of being the only ones? This solitude is not a sign of abandonment. It is the ultimate confirmation. Imagine a single, warm light in a vast, dark cathedral. The flame does not feel lonely. It feels sacred. Its warmth is not diminished by the space, but defined by it. Its glow is not lost in the darkness, but made infinitely more precious because of it. That flame is your consciousness. It is our consciousness. The absence of 1,000,000 other roaring fires does not make our single flame a tragedy. It makes it a miracle. It proves beyond any doubt how impossibly special it is to be aware, to be here, to feel, to wonder. The silence is not a judgment. It is the velvet background upon which our existence is painted. So now, let go of all the cosmic anxieties. They are not yours to carry into your dreams. Feel the weight of that question. Are we alone? Feel it as a stone in your hand. And now, simply open your hand. Let it fall away into the deep. It was never a stone of fear. It was a jewel, and its beauty was in the asking, not the answering. And now you can let it go. The silence of the cosmos is not a void to be feared. It is a soft blanket of velvet, wrapping around our tiny, glowing world. It is the deep, calm ocean of the night, and you are floating safely upon its surface, rocked gently by the tide of your own breath. Let that breath be the gentle rhythm of this quiet universe. A slow, peaceful inhale, and a long, soft exhale. There are no monsters hiding in the dark between the stars. There is only stillness, only peace. The search is over. The great filter has been passed, and all that is left for you to do is rest. And so, we drift away now, away from the long story of the filters, away from the questions and the great cosmic trials. Let the focus soften. Let your mind float outward, further and further, until you can see it all, our home. Imagine it from a great and gentle distance. There it is, a single breathing sphere suspended in the deep velvet of space. It turns, not with haste, but with the slow, deliberate grace of a dream. The continents are sleeping shapes of shadow and earth. The oceans, a deep and tranquil blue, hold the reflection of 1 billion silent stars. The lights of our cities, a soft embroidery of gold, pulse gently, like sleeping embers in the dark. They do not shout. They whisper. This is the sound of survival. A quiet hum. The great storms that once raged are now just gentle swirls of white silk. The fires of our beginning, the ice of the long nights, the thunder of our awakening, all have faded. They have dissolved into this profound and lasting peace. This quiet, turning world is our testament. It is the proof, written not in words, but in light and water and air. Proof that the loudest, most chaotic filters are behind us. The silence you feel now, expanding around this world, is not the silence of absence. It is the silence of arrival. A safe harbor reached after a long and winding voyage. A quiet shore at the end of a vast and turbulent sea. Our earth sleeps, cradled by gravity, bathed in the ancient light of the cosmos. It floats on, a silent monument to every challenge met, every threshold crossed, a masterpiece of endurance now resting peacefully in the gallery of the stars. And as it floats in this endless, tranquil dark, as it breathes in the starlight and exhales into the void, it offers a simple, final truth. The journey was long, but we are home, and all is calm. And so, our journey through time comes to a gentle close. The cosmic silence no longer feels like an empty void, but like a quiet testament to our own incredible story. We are the survivors, the ones who made it through the fire and the ice. The Great Filter was not a single event, but a billion-year-long gauntlet. The impossible leap from chemistry to biology, the fragile birth of complex cells, the dawn of thought in a world of instinct, those were the true filters. We have passed them. The universe is not silent because it is hostile, but because the path to consciousness is just that improbable. Your existence, right here, right now, is the evidence. As you drift deeper now, let this thought cradle you. You are not a cosmic accident awaiting a final test. You are the inheritor of an unbroken chain of miracles. The universe is quiet, and you are safe. Sleep well, star traveler.